Welcome back to Sixes and Sevens Finals Week 3 review. Wow, wow, and wow. But before we dive into the footy, our little mate Gabe's back from Bali. He's a little bit wounded. I don't know if he's wounded from the flight or just being away or who knows. Let's have a little chat to him and see what he got up to in the good old Bali.
Hey boys, good to be back. Look, I'm not used to early mornings anymore. I've been sleeping in plenty, but I'm happy to be here. It was a good little trip.
What was your highlight of Bali other than the night after La Plancha?
Honestly,
tell us what you did after La Plancha.
Oh, mate, just a smooch and just laid down by the pool, mate. Nothing too naughty, you know me. I'm a good boy.
Beautiful.
I actually loved going to the elephants. Went to the Bali Zoo, washed them up, and then it's just cool. We got to wash down little elephants, big elephants. It was a good experience. It was actually pissing down that morning too. Nearly went home, but me and the missus stuck it out, and the sun came out, and it was a nice little day for us. Not something you get to do every day.
What else they got there, mate? Elephants.
I must say that I've never done any sightseeing in my 10, 12 trips to Bali, Gabe.
I've seen Toddy go home with a couple of elephants, but not at the zoo.
It's good to be back.
The night after Tiesto was the size of an elephant.
Oh, Tiesto. That was one of the best nights I've ever had in my life. Hey, mate.
How's dad life?
It's good. Loving it.
Fuck
loving the dad life. Just wanted to talk now. I think you get through the first month and then there's only so much you can do with them. Feed, sleep, cuddle. I just wanted the first words. I want to smile. Yeah. It's all ahead of me. Nah, she's unreal, mate. She's beautiful.
That's awesome.
She's good. She is good. She watched the footy with me today, actually, which was good.
I'm good, mate. Good. On school holidays at the moment, so I've had a bit of time to relax and put my feet out. Susie's been off too, so it's been good just getting some shit sorted around the house. Nothing too much. I had a mate up on the weekend. My accountant was here in Goldie for the weekend, so it was good to see him, spend some time with him, and had a bit of a laugh, which was good.
How is the great man?
Trent's good. He's really good. Shout out to Trent Tavaletti from Titan Finance.
Good friend to have.
He's a good friend. Yeah, he's been a good friend of mine, and Mitchell laughs about me sitting in Buckingham Palace. If I didn't have Trent along the way, I definitely wouldn't have the houses I live in and the things I have today without Trent. And I think there's a fair few players, still current players. I was actually had a laugh. We're sitting here on Saturday. I won't say the player's name, but it was early Saturday morning. He was getting hounded by one of the players, a current player that he looks after now. Fucking, I need some money. Must have been on a 2-day Larry, which was a bit of a laugh. And I said to Trent, do you get sick of that? And he goes, well, if I got sick of it, I wouldn't have done it again. But he goes, you pushed me to the limits. He had some fucking scary phone calls at different times.
Ooh.
But without him, like I said, I wouldn't have been in a comfortable position when I finished, which has been good. And I think that helps along the way. We talk about reboot. I think that was a big part of that keeps you sane. A lot of people finish up and may have nothing, or they get to the point in their life and hit rock bottom. We spoke about my rock bottom. If you've got still your structure below you, you can get out a lot easier, I think. So I thank Trent for that.
Probably not a bad bit of advice for, maybe some young players that are coming through outside of just playing footy is having people like that on your side, eh?
That's so true. And Mitch can probably echo it too, is that he's done really well himself. But it's so important because many, many moons ago when I was 21, 22, 23 years old, I thought you retire from rugby league and then you're done. You can sit back and put your feet up. And obviously I didn't probably squeeze the lemon out of the game as much as I would have liked to, obviously with what I got up to and not fulfilling my time in the game and losing contracts here and there. And it's probably also a good look too is that if you look after your money and you put yourselves in positions, and you got to work. Everyone's got to work, but there's only a few players that can still stay in the game, and obviously the ones in the media, the ones that pick up other handy jobs and stuff, is you still got a lot of life to live. And so yeah, for any young kids, footy nerds that are listening, and you do get to the point where you make it, find someone that will support you and look after your money and be tough on you with it, because it dries up real quick.
Well said, Toddy. No, it's very important. It's good bit of advice there. It's funny when you said that. I think we spoke about it last week. We keep talking about transition and stuff. About you think you're going to live. You think footy's. You think your last game. You think your last game is just I'm kick back, do nothing. It's not the truth, young footy fans out there and young boys watching. Listen to our show. It's life just gets started, and you got to set yourself up. So follow Toddy's lead. As I said, he's living in Buckingham Palace there in the outskirts of the Gold Coast. So put a photo of him up on your wall and just say, follow his lead.
Says the bloke that's living in the south of France.
Yeah, true. Before we move on to the game, I actually haven't fully checked yet. How are the Cheddars going? Is Toddy kept the lead since I left? Yeah. Don't call it a comeback or what?
I will say, like the Penrith Panthers falling off their purse yesterday and finishing up, my cheddar was flying like the Penny Panthers.
Well, you're fucked too, yeah.
So if you give us an update, Gabe, because Mitch went Storm, which you'll collect 2 points. I went Panthers, I'll collect none.
No, Who'd you go? That's why I'm fucking gutted. You've given me even too much credit than I deserve. No, I went Sharks, bro. Remember we went into detail.
Oh,
I went Sharks. I went Sharks to take a risk, Gabe, so I'm fucked. Toddy's overrated me there. I would have, if I had got Melbourne and he lost, I would actually probably be closer. But this scoreline could be, it's probably the same as it was because you didn't get any points.
It's the same. I've just checked it now.
So I've lost by 3 points, I think.
Yeah, if you've both lost, so Sharks lost, Panthers lost. So yeah, it's Toddy 30, Mitch 25, but from what I'm looking at.
So. 25. All right, this is what I'm thinking now. Just off the top of our head, this is what I'm thinking. Just to give this a little bit. Last win. No. It can't be that. It can't be that. Just that sort of extreme. I'm thinking that I have to come up with a certain scoreline. A win and a certain scoreline to get 5 points, for example. Toddy can just pick the winner.
I'm willing to leave that up to Toddy. I'm willing to leave that up to Toddy.
Listen.
Okay. Well, it's no fun otherwise.
There's always a winner and loser in life. And you're the loser this time round, buddy. See you in 2026 for the Cheddar game. Huh? Well, honestly, do you think the Broncos, do you reckon the Broncos of Melbourne are sitting there coming up for plan? If you can score this many points, you'll get the 5 points? Shut up.
Fuck, sorry for trying to have some fun, mate. Sorry.
Fun's over. The fun's over. When it comes down to winning, the fun's over.
All right, mate. Sweet as. You win. Cheers. Congrats.
Thank you.
I'm going for Broncos.
I'm going for Storm, so shut up. Nah, who knows? Sweet. Who knows? I haven't had a look at it. And then we're not talking about that because we're here to recap the games that went on yesterday. And we're going to go while it's fresh on the memory. Let's talk about the Brisbane Broncos and the Penrith Panthers. Broncos winning 16-14 at Suncorp Stadium yesterday. Wow.
Did you go, Toddy? Did you go?
Nah, I didn't go. I was at home. I sat up on the couch, like I said, with me popcorn and chocolates and Coke Zeros. I was excited about it. We had a day on the couch yesterday and I was a bit anxious about the game coming around. I knew I had something to look forward to. And it didn't disappoint. I thought it was outstanding. What did you think?
Mate, unbelievable. First half, obviously, it was there for everyone to see. Penrith were too good. Just sort of what we predicted, I think. Just choking the fuck out of the Broncos. Broncos hardly got out of their own end unless it was for a penalty in that first 40 minutes. There was errors forced. Obviously, Walsh came up with the moment of the game, or close moment of the game behind Reyno, probably. Top 2 moments of the game there to ice the match in the end. We'll get to that in a second. But came up with a fair few errors in that first half. The whole team looked they looked out on their feet, to be fair, the Broncos. Like, they looked a bit shell-shocked for me, and then the ambush of Penrith just sort of multiplied that. They just jumped the gun on them and, yeah, put them in a real hole. But, mate, honestly, that second half, even to be honest, it wasn't just the second half. It was the last, for me, it was this. I thought Penrith were going to throw the knockout punch. I think it was about 10 minutes to go. Don't count me on it. But when they had three or so repeat sets there and Nath couldn't roll the ball in the in goal, I think he rolled one in and it ricocheted. Was when I think Payne Haas put the ball down when 5A ever had a brain snap. Talangi.
Yeah.
Brace Talangi nearly scored at the end there anyway. And then Nath had another pop at it. Then he's grubbed it at the post where I thought he might have gone in the air. Anyway, grub it
and
there.
Smoothie picked it up.
Smoothie picked it up, but that they were on the rocks there. That was game. That's an opportunity there for a try. They're dead. It was 14-6 at that point, I think it was, or 14-8 at that point. But yeah, it was just for me. That was after that. It was just fucking crazy. I didn't know what I was watching. They run the ball in the last. Payne Haas passes a little tip on. I think it was Blaze again or Nath that knocked the ball down, and then they get the scrum, and then. Mate, honestly, what a moment. Walsh was, just what a game, brother. What a game.
It was, and you spoke about the first half, the slight hands of passing, the connection the Panthers had. It looked like they were going to continue on with what they done last week against the Bulldogs. It looked very similar the way they were playing. They had all the momentum because, as you said, the Broncos couldn't get out of their own end. So every time Panthers were kicking, Nathan was religiously kicking to the right corner, making them come out. So I was landing on the 10 or 15. By tackle 5, they were at 40. Reece, Walsh and Reynolds were having pretty much shots at 40-20s every time they were kicking because they were inside their 40.
Just missed that
and
one,
then
didn't
Penrith and then I thought the big moment and big changes where Brisbane sort of went a little bit more to work and started to find a little bit more momentum was when Ben Hunt went to 9. I thought he come up some really big plays, Ben Hunt, out of 9. I thought Ezra come on and he thought run all the time, which was really good. He took some time to get in the game. He got under the skins of the Panthers. You don't see Nathan too many times react, but he did. And I thought that got under the skin of the Panthers. It took him off the game a little bit. But yeah,
I got one for you on that.
Credit to the Panthers, to the Broncos.
If they made the grand finals, Liam Martin missed the grand final for running in and tackling Ezra. There's one for you. Nah. Fuck, it was an aggressive tackle. I loved it. Back in his skipper up, but it was aggressive. I just popped in my head. I went, if he made a GF, I remember Luke Ricketson.
He didn't even get 10 in the bin. Like that's where I don't want to rewind the clock back a few weeks ago, but the Hudson Young incident when him and Walsh got 10 in the bin for what they got up to. It should have been exactly the same yesterday if that was the case because
it was punches.
There was. But let's not that over the shadow of the performance of the Broncos. They stuck in it. People say stay in the fight, and the moments will come, and they got plenty of moments, different opportunities. I listened to the Channel 9 commentary yesterday. They were asking the Broncos halves, get Walsh into the game. Walsh, you need to come into the game. And I thought he sort of picked his times and he tried to. Credit to Walsh. He does come up some errors, but he continues to push and chase the game. People talk about people that wait for the game and then go in and pop in at big moments. He goes at every opportunity he gets, and without that, he doesn't come up with that opportunity. He busts through the line, throws the ball out the back, but massive, still had a lot of work to do, Mariner. I thought it was all over the sideline. When in the view of the camera in the game on the TV, it looks like the ball was going to go over the sideline, and all of a sudden Mariner comes in the screen and comes off his right foot and bounces back in and gets the ball over. And then we talk about the Iceman, Nathan Cleary, but this time it was Reynolds' chance. And before the kick was taken, they were talking about, Walsh had missed that one. The first one he just smacked through the post. The game set for him, and all of a sudden, the man of the moment, Reynolds puts the ball on the tee and ices it, knocks it over and gives the crowd. And I still thought there was still more to happen.
What about him
It
running
was
backwards
just
for the
running backwards to
fucking
get it,
40-metre drop goal? 40
and
metre drop
then
goal,
Edwards
running
has
backwards.
a chance, hits it okay, but yeah, it just wasn't. It wasn't their fairy tale. It was the Broncos' fairy tale, and we talk about moments and things in the season where you can look back on things. And Broncos 7-8 weeks ago, they lose their starting halves, Reynolds and Mam. I said it. Everyone said it. The season's over until we dissected it and worked out what it was. That team played themselves into form to put themselves in the position to play. They did the game they did yesterday, and now they're sitting at home this morning, going into a review to plan for a grand final. And you spoke about it a few weeks ago. It's the Madge effect. There's so much talk. There was so much talk in the preseason. This group's not ready for the military style Madge. They're upset. They've been training too hard. Where's all those voices now? I would love for someone to get a little record of things of all the people in the media that hate Madge and love sticking the knife into Madge and love sticking the knife into the Brisbane Broncos. Where's all their comments now about, they train too hard, he's too full on and shit like that, yeah? Well, they're preparing for a grand final. Come next Sunday, we'll have a winner.
I love it. I totally agree. I said the thing on 2 weeks ago on the show that if Madge wins this comp, he can go up there with some of the greatest coaches of all time. I don't backpedal on that. He's won it. I'll say it again. Wigan, New Zealand, Origin, South, and if he can win at the Brisbane Broncos, their first grand final since 2006, and we're talking about a club who's probably got more money and more power than most other teams in the competition. To not win for that long and him to be that coach to bring that is, for me, he's up there with some of the greatest coaches of all time. But I think as well, just going into the game, you spoke about the changes to halves. I think, you only have to look at Payne Haas's efforts playing 80 minutes. Some of the, 80 minutes, bro. Like, you can't even comprehend how good he is. You talk about greatest of all time. Throw a Madge in the thing of coaches. Well, he's got to be. He's the best I've seen as a front row. I didn't watch the 80s and 70s and all that, obviously, and your great Arthur Beatsons and Lazarus, Steve Roach, these type of guys. But, man, he's the best I've seen. I can't see anyone else playing 80 minutes in the modern game and the effect that he has. But, yeah, I thought the attack, as we said, I know Penrith forced that pressure on him, but it was clunky. I think I saw Benny Hunt a few times looking a little bit frustrated in that first half. Penrith took him over the sideline on early tackles a couple of times. So I wouldn't say that it was more effective in attack with the boys coming back in than what it has been with Billy Walters and Benny Hunt. I wouldn't say that. But what they did have was do or die attitude. I saw Payne Haas in an interview after the game speak about that he was happy to die on the field. And they played like that. They literally just played with everything they had, and it worked for them in the end. And their little magician popped up when it mattered. Yeah, he comes up with errors. It wasn't the most clunky style of footy, but he just keeps throwing punches. As we said before, he doesn't get affected by the result. And he played tough more than anything, I reckon. I wouldn't say it was his prettiest performance because the field position that Penrith allowed for him, and probably with Reyno and that coming back in, it was a bit clunky. It didn't allow for him to play his most fluent footy, but he just kept asking questions and he played tough. He was taking some hard carries down short sides and he got the results in the end. And Adam Reynolds too, the great old sparring partner. We did our podcast with him. What a player. 4th grand final for Adam Reynolds. Put that in perspective. 4th grand final. He's fucking, if he can win at 2 different clubs, where's that put him as one of the greats? I know that he hasn't played as much rep footy as your Cooper Cronks and this type of stuff. But when I saw that today, I always had total respect for Reyno. But four grand finals at two different clubs is right up there. He gets it done.
His goal kicking record, the games he's played, the things he's done puts him up there in the top of the list, around the top of the list anyway. Obviously, the critics will say he's only won one out of those grand finals, but he's got an opportunity Sunday to do that. And it's a good talking point that you're saying about how clunky the Brisbane Broncos were, and listening to the commentary yesterday saying that Walsh needs to inject himself in the game and they need to work out how to give Walsh the freedom that he's had weeks before. It's hard to do that when you've also Reynolds has a job to do himself and Reynolds plays a certain way, and you talk about success of Adam Reynolds, it's on the back of the way he plays footy. You can't tell someone that's played over 300 games, okay, you need to take the back seat today because we've got a superstar fullback that's going to win us a game of footy. Because that's not in Adam Reynolds' nature. He comes back into the team with the number 7 on his back. He does a job that he always does, the way he plays footy. He controls, he talks, he kicks. He gets the plays set up. He touches the ball first on the start of any good set. And it's like, okay, well, he needs to work his way into the game. You said Reynolds, Walsh played tough. He went into the contest. He didn't come up some of the big flashy plays. A bit more, the pass hits the mark. Tony Staggs goes untouched. Obviously, McLean was offside. That was a big changing point in the game. But I think it's not always about how we find Reece Walsh to get in the game. You've got to stick to the guns. Yes, Reece Walsh's brilliance over the last probably 5 weeks, got him to a position to be in a grand final. But a lot of that stuff has come on the structures of what Adam Reynolds does previously in the start of this year. And for them to win a grand final, I believe Adam Reynolds has to play better than Reece Walsh does for them to win a game. I think he needs to be the key figure in the Brisbane Broncos team for them to win a grand final, not the other way around. I think there's room, and they showed that yesterday, there's room for errors and there's room for Walsh to be in and out of the game and still win the game of footy, but I think they need to have Reynolds on to win the game.
Well, that opens up Reece Walsh, right?
Well, it does, because he's not having to worry about doing 80% of the kicking where weeks before he has it. He doesn't have to worry. He knows where the ball's going to get to, where the play's going to finish, because Reynolds will get it there. He'll know where the set will start. I think the clunkiness comes out of Reynolds and Hunt. It's more so their combination that needs to probably gel. They need to pass the ball probably more together. They park themselves on both sides of the field. So Reynolds is through the middle, Walsh on the left, Reynolds on the right. I think they need to juggle that a little bit, but it's hard to say juggle it because they're in a grand final. They'll be sitting there going, let's just do what works. And they know what works because they've got themselves to the grand final. So it's a massive like we talk about the Panthers, we've spoke glowing about them. We speak about the Storm all the time. We're touching on about the Sharks. But the Broncos have had a fucking massive turnaround this season from last year to middle parts of this season to where they got to 6 weeks ago when they lost their players. They defined everything, won 5 in a row. Well, now 7 in a row. 7 in a row they've now won. Going in 8 in a row for the grand final. So, yeah. Well, they'd won 5 in a row leading into the finals, and then they knock off Canberra, and then yesterday. So well done to the Brisbane Broncos.
Yeah, unbelievable.
I got to ask, boys, like, what do you think this means for the Penrith dynasty? Obviously, the streak's over, huge. There was a few of us honestly almost wanting to see the 5 in a row. They lose a game like that. Is this dynasty over? What do you think it means for them?
No way it's over. They'll be better next year. No. I'd like to ask the question after who have they got coming in next year? That's a question if you know, Gabe. But also too, I was hurting a bit for them. And like I said, I've got no attachment to any teams left in the finals, but there was a sense of just happy. Yeah, everyone wants Penrith to. I don't know. They're just one of them teams. As much success they have, there's no tall poppy syndrome sort of energy towards Penrith. I just think everyone kind of deep down, you wanted to see that history be made. And yeah, I was to be honest, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of hooting for him at the back end there. As much as it was exciting to watch Broncos get through, I was a little bit disappointed for Penrith. I just thought it would have been such a good storyline, but yeah, they're not good enough in the end of the day. And just for me, more than anything, I just love watching great athletes, champions, and Nath Cleary, man. Just even watching his disappointment and how he holds himself, he's just such a perfectionist. And I think when you're a retired player and you watch any athlete from any sport, when you watch guys that have been that successful and they're just so obsessive still, he's got no foot off the throat. He's just it's just he was hurting like it was his debut game, and it's of course it was what he was playing for is to go back to back to back to back, but it just I'm just in awe of his perfectionist and his competitiveness. It's just just unbelievable to watch. But yeah, it was disappointing for me to an extent to see the champions get knocked off. Would have been great, but at the same time, Broncos' energy is also great for the game, and I think they're going to win. I really do.
That's massive for the game. That crowd yesterday. You go, sorry.
Yeah, I just think the thing with the Broncos, what they got on their favour, as good as the thing we'll get to Melbourne in a sec. Jerome Hughes, Pappenhausen, Munster are too good. Like they are so good, and however they stop them is going to determine the game. But I just look at the pack. You know, your Payne Haas, Carrigan comes back in, mate. Wilson at the end there, like, he's massive. Katoni, Staggs, even their halves we just spoke about, all players over 300 games. Like they're fucking superstars. The Broncos, they are fucking powerful and big and young and superstars. So I think man for man, they're as good. It's just how do you stop the fucking immortals or the future immortals? Maybe, who knows? Of Hughes, Pappenhausen, and Munster. Maybe not immortals, maybe Munster, but they're fucking good players.
Yeah, just on that talking point of Panthers, it just makes them more hungry. I think more time together, more reps together. They're not losing many. I think they lose Schneider and Dean Laurie. But
Yeah,
that's really it.
Laurie.
They're saying maybe Raiders.
He'd be good there.
But yeah, it's. I think it just makes them more hungry. It makes them want it more. Obviously, Nathan. I've seen on his Instagram this morning or last night he put up a post saying that it didn't go to plan, disappointed, but he goes again. They're a professional organisation. They'll be ready to go again next year, that's for sure. And they won't be the hunted as much. The team that will be the hunted will be the team that wins the grand final out of Melbourne and Brisbane.
The reason I brought it up because it was almost kind of scary. I actually watched the press conference after with Ivan and Nathan. And someone asked, is like, oh, you know, like, how does it feel now that it's over? And Ivan said, what's over? And like Nathan kind of nodded along, and I was like, oh, like, that's a cool moment. They're like, you know, like, nothing's over. Like, you know, we lost one game. We're going to come back stronger. Like, oh, yeah, I'd be shitting if I was coming up against Nathan Cleary next year.
Well, nothing's over. I know what you mean. In the terms of when you speak to Nathan about when you speak to Nathan about it in the podcast, we asked about what drives him to have success, and he goes, well, it's just about the end goal of winning grand finals and winning as many as you can. It's over for them too when his boots are hung up, when the curtains pulled on both their careers. That's when it's over for them, and that's the mentality I believe they have, and that's what the mentality everyone at Penrith have. They've had their plans of obviously the undisputed. I think this time around it was the 5 rings with the samurai stuff. So there's a plan in place all the time, and they'll start again, the comeback series or whatever it will be. So yeah, when you got a team that's got so many players that have won those grand finals, you can't write them off.
I'd love to hear what the samurai sword was. Yeah. They gave us a bit of a teaser about it. I'd love to hear what Naif says. What the whole
5 rings.
They might. That's
the book of
is
5
that what
rings.
It was, eh? Yeah, right.
Over to our next game, and it was our first game. The Melbourne Storm 22 over the Cronulla Sharks 14. We touched on a little bit when we're talking about the Panthers and what's going on and the greats of games. And this team, the Melbourne Storm, they're in everything. Because they've got players all over the park. You talk about the Panthers and the Broncos, and when everyone talks about their superstar and Reece Walsh, or you talk about Nathan Cleary, they're the ones that always get the accolades or on the last tip of the tongue. But at Melbourne, you've got 4 players: Grant, Munster, Hughes, Pappenhausen, and they all delivered the other night, and that was the difference. I thought Sharks were in the fight. I thought Sharks played tough. They played gritty. They held on. They just didn't have the players. I listened to Wade Graham talk about Nico and Trindle the day after the game. because obviously the knives come out for Trindle and Nico saying that they're just not as good as Hughes and Munster. And Wade's pretty much blatantly put it. Well, no, that's right. They're not. They're not the same caliber of a player. One's played 15 Origins or plus for Queensland. One's starting halfback for New Zealand. Like they're different calibers of players. So we've got to stop putting them at the top of the tree and saying these guys need to play like these guys every week when they're not. They're not that caliber of player, and it shows when Melbourne are on. It shows that their 4 dominant players are better than the opposition. And that's the challenge to beat Melbourne. You've got to try and you're not just shutting down a Reece Walsh or a Nathan Cleary. You've got to shut down the 4 of them, because if one gets shut down, they go another way and break it down the other side of the field with the other player in Hughes or Munster or if it's Pappenhausen. And then they all combine together, fucking good luck.
And the thing is with them, like what Wado said, like they are just better. And they're not only just better at set pieces and outplaying you with the pass, it's because they run the ball. Like Munster was running the ball. He does that mad drop play where he runs and he either shows it and then passes on the outside or runs. Like in big games, that's his go-to, isn't it? And he builds his whole game off his running game. Jerome runs, Pappenhausen runs, Grant runs out of dummy half. So like their runs compared to Nico and Trindle for me were like 30%, 40% more. So they're constantly threatening you with their own skill set, their own running game, their athleticism. So for me, that's the difference. Like I felt like both teams attacked quite well. Like their set pieces, the score was pretty narrow for majority of the time. I thought Cronulla, when the scoreline went to 8 points, felt a little bit of pressure there. They got themselves back with that penalty goal, and then Melbourne strike back. But I thought Cronulla were always thereabouts. But for me, Cronulla looked stressed when they were trying to chase points, where Melbourne, through their running game and through their just natural talent through their halves, they just found a way, like they always do. And that was the biggest difference for me. It was just something that stood out, the running games of the 2 different halves. It wasn't as if that both of them didn't run the set pieces right or ask questions. They had that nice play on the right there for Kennedy, the Kennedy pass. Nico was involved. I thought he played well. Like I thought he was solid. He had a bad error there going into good ball and play 2 or 3 where he just dropped it cold, which put his team under a bit of pressure. I think they ended up holding Melbourne out, but it made them work hard on their own line for a 10-minute period. So that was a bit of a bad loss. But I didn't think him and Trindle were bad. I just think the other 2 were just better. And as I said, they ran the ball more. They simplified in big games. You see Munster in big Origin games. It's not the pass that wins games. It's his fucking running game. You know, and it just, for me, that brings everyone else on board. And yeah, it was good footy to watch. Fuck, they played well. That kick early too, with 5 minutes to go, with a couple of minutes to go before half time, fullback in the line. Pappenhausen calls the super call and scores under the post. Just little moments like that is the difference in the end, isn't it? That was the difference. I thought Cronulla were physically really good. I thought they handled the occasion good. You know, like if people speak about was it a successful year? I think definitely. I think the way they handled finals was a massive step forward. They've gone out in straight sets the last however long, and they were fucking good. Like they were there. They were in the fight. For me, it was just the difference between class in the end. And as you said, the big dogs got them home for Melbourne.
Mitch, just off the back of that set play you just said, where Munster puts the kick through for Pappenhausen. How quickly does something like that unfold? So as you said, does Pappenhausen call that, and does he just go like it's just the call, and all of a sudden it's on? Like, is it called as he spots it?
Yeah, I can't. Pappenhausen, I'd say, would have called it. Munster could have seen it. Speaking from me and Todd, for an example, when we play together, if we trail each other, it'd usually be a second receiver out the back that sees it. Like he would spot that Kennedy was caught in the line and that early kicks on. But in saying that, sometimes your half jumps the gun on him as well. And Munster might have seen space and called it too. But great awareness. And it's not only, it looks like a simple kick, but it's an instinctive, reactive play. And that only comes when you're a top-end player in big games. There's no fear around it, is there? Like, I know it's a simple play, but all on the same
Yeah.
page, and when he sees an opportunity, he just backs himself. And if it was a one-off, but these guys do this all the time. And for me, I just want to go on to Jerome Hughes. Like, that guy for me, I watched his half-time speech when he came off. Mate, he was like a politician. Like, calm, clear, intelligent. I was like, man, this guy is just fuck. He's been out for 3 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks with a broken arm. Man, he just come in just like the way he played. And then I watched him at halftime. I don't really know the guy. I haven't had a whole lot to do with him, if anything. Man, honestly, I was just sitting there in awe, just watching him. Like, had no sweat on him. Super calm, speaking full intelligent, walking off the field. I was like, this guy's going to win him a comp. This guy's going to win him a comp.
That play, that kick, just to answer your question, Gabe, they would have a plan during the week. They know that Kennedy might fall himself in the line just to give him an extra number in defence. And you see Munster was looking to kick to the left pocket, and then he's either seen it himself or he's got a call from Pappenhausen, and he sort of spins it back off because it was an ugly sort of drop, but the way he executed obviously was perfect. But he got a call from someone, I reckon, which is Pappenhausen, because he's seen Kennedy in the line. But yeah, what Mitch was saying is about Munster. I think it was like 21 carries, 195 metres from his game. Like, halves are running 40, 50 metres, 4 carries a game. And he takes the game head on, and if he has joy with his running game, that then creates space for then the passing game once they start to, because they know you never know what Munster you're going to get, and he says it himself. I just play what's in front of me, and if it comes off, it comes off. But he thinks run first, and then he'll get to a pass. He's got that drop, so he knows that if he can't feel him coming on his inside when he's going to drop that ball, he's got space for that runner to go through, or if they can feel him coming and he dummies. He's got freedom on the outside. There's always a space somewhere, but it's just how you execute it to get to that space, and that's the piece of the puzzle you need to. Yeah, that's the piece of the puzzle you need to get is knowing where the space is, and it's like he can feel it coming. And Melbourne, you talk about Hughes, like surgery 2.5 weeks ago, his scar wouldn't even be healed yet, let alone his bone.
Wow.
But how did he play? In all seriousness, when you talk about injuries, like with an injury like that, it was obviously still broken. It wouldn't have been fully recovered.
I'm not sure. On. Like, yeah. Oh, God knows what they did, but yeah.
How do you see the dynamics there, Toddy, with them? Like, obviously Jerome's the shot caller, you think, as a traditional halfback. Munster plays eyes up, like you just said. He plays what he sees, and then Pappy just plays as a support player and gets on a couple of shots a set. But do you see, like, has Harry Grant got much of a say there, you reckon, or he just plays off the back of the quick play balls? Yeah,
I reckon Harry Grant's got a massive say. I reckon it seems like there's a lot of teams just go, we'll get to positions to play footy and things like that. It seems like they've got a call that they're always up. They're always ready to play footy. There's no one. There's not a play for a play. They're on every play. Everyone's moving forward. They continue to keep their feet moving. You listen to Billy Slater speak about it heaps, that if you keep your feet moving, walking forward, you'll end up getting into position to run, and then that run then will put you in a position to then get the ball in big moments. And I reckon that's what they've got. Harry Grant's got the freedom to go away from that if he gets a quick play of the ball. But when he gets a quick play of the ball, the guys we're speaking about, Munster, Hughes and Pappenhausen, they're pushing with him every time he runs. So they're the guys going into space, or if someone goes through there, they're getting the offload or the pass to score under the post, things like that. So they're in cohesion, and then the rest of it around it, Stefano Ukamanu and Kamakamifa, like when they come on and carry, they just cause damage. And then they got their strong outside backs, Warbrick and Coates. They're like their Coates and Warbrick's carries are that dominant. They always find their front. They poke their nose through, and all of a sudden the bloke on the back of that, if it's Howarth or Meany that gets the ball, like they're in space. So they're over the ad line all the time, and then they kick, and they'll put their pressure on your kick. Everyone chases a kick, and it's just back and forth till something breaks. or then if one of their superstars come up with a big play. And that's just what Sharks don't have. They don't have that. They're lacking that punch. I don't know if they're lacking a superstar. Like lacking someone that
Where do you put them,
that can break. Where do you put super foot? I reckon they need to break out.
I agree with you, but what's available? Like we talk about, there's no difference.
There's no one available.
Talk about Broncos. There's no one available. Like every comp that's won is usually a top 2, top 1 spine in the game. Really, like go for the Broncos, Melbourne's, Roosters days, Panthers. Like they're all you get the best, you win. Like so for me, Cronulla, I totally agree with what you're saying, and there's no knock on Nico and Trindle. I think they played really well and had a fucking real good year, and they're very, 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 very good players. But yeah, for Cronulla to go to that next level next year, and I agree with what you're saying, a superstar, but who? They're not going to get Nath Cleary. They're not going to get Munster. So who gets them over the line? I don't have the answer. Can Nico on that get there? I think they can. It's just the fact that they... Yeah.
It's not enough right now. Simple as that.
Not enough
really.
right now. No.
Yeah.
Well, it's not enough right now because what's in front of them. You
my
look at the
question is,
teams
who do you
yesterday. Like you throw a Reece Walsh into that team, they win. You throw I think they're missing that strike. Like I don't think if you throw a Adam Reynolds into a Cronulla team and you put Nico into a Brisbane team, it doesn't change too much. Like if swapping player for player, I just think they need that breakout player that if the game's on the line, and Nico comes up with sometimes, Trindle does sometimes, but yeah, I don't want to get into the hype of or the negative talk about Nico and Trindle and their halves and stuff. It happens enough, and it gets spoken about, and never gets educated on. They just throw knives at them and hope they stick, and then hope their comments continue to stick. I'd rather just give Cronulla credit. They had a really good season, and they didn't come up with it. And pretty much what Wade said, it's expected, and that's coming from a bloke that works in the club. It's expected to happen to Cronulla that they're just not that good. They're not at that mark yet. They need to get there. And Nico and Trindle would say they need to get. Expect it where they got to. I reckon that's pretty much what he's saying. Is that
within the club?
No, it wouldn't be within the club. They've got belief in the players because they've got them signed there. They've got belief, but from the outside, it's expected. Okay, well, if Cronulla don't make it, it's going to be in the back of this guy and this guy. And I don't believe that's always right. But you got to look at the team that beats him. The team that beat
100%
the Sharks on the weekend, the Melbourne Storm. They're freaks. When they're on, they're unbeatable. That's the thing.
That's what I was going back to. You look in history with all the players. Brisbane Broncos had Alfie Lang. Everyone goes, "Oh, we got Alfie, we'd win." You don't have Alfie. Penrith. We had Nathan Cleary and Roosters Cooper Cronk, and that's just the way it is. It literally is the way it is. But I think full credit to Cronulla. I thought Fitzy had a huge year with them. I thought their style of footy was, and the way they handled pressure was huge as well. So, yeah, I thought it was a good year all around. Just a little bit off.
Before we get into it, wrap, boys, unless you have anything else, I had a good question, and it comes up. You've said a lot of names, especially around the Storm. Even before we started recording, you were spitting out Munster, spitting out Hughes. If you had to build your team around only one of the Storm players, who would you pick? Good one, eh?
I might go Jerome.
Harry Grant.
Yeah, I thought Grant might be the answer, but
I'll go Harry Grant.
There's not a bad one. There's not a bad answer, is there?
Might go Jerome.
Why Jerome?
Why? Because I think he's the architect. He's the halfback. I think every team needs a halfback. I don't know. It's a difficult one because they're all in their own right. You could feel the pieces around them if they were your marquee guy. But I think Jerome's so underrated. I just honestly always had a high respect for him. for what he's done and how good he is. But honestly, the way he played the other day was one of the great games I've ever seen. To come back after 3 weeks with a broken arm, under all adversity, and then, as I said, to walk off like you didn't even have sweat on your face with the most calm demeanour at halftime when you're playing in a major semi. I just thought, this guy's a freak. Fully underrated. So, and if he can get the competition again, what's that, his third comp, if he wins this one?
That sounds right, yeah.
Like, it's starting to talk greatness.
Oof. Well, why Harry Grant for you, Toddy? You think he's the architect?
Well, he's not so much the architect. I just think that when you talk about, the question was build a team around it. You could build a team around any 4 of them. The players we talk about. But I think Harry Grant's the architect of what happens away from the structure. And we talk about teams, they need that difference. Everyone plays to similar structures, but you need someone to know when to pull the trigger to get away from. We spoke about Cronulla so much in the last few weeks about the way Brayley's evolved his game, and he has different options and creates different opportunities. Harry Grant's got that, but he's also then got you look at Melbourne sometimes when they lose their halves or something goes wrong. Harry Grant's the man that delivers on the pass, on the kick, or the big moment. It happens in Origin too. He delivers on big moments because he's got the ball first. He sees the game first. He's in control of what happens. He doesn't always have to hit his half. And I think 9's so important these days to not just also bring your halves into the game, to bring your middles into the game. And I think he's probably in control there. He's a very. They all look unfazed because they all go to work. They all share the workload. You talk about Melbourne teams is they all fall into systems. They've all got a clear role, what they've got to do in a game, what's required of them to do in their position, but also what's required of them to do to be a Melbourne Storm player. So they're all in control. So we could sit here and have a debate about why we'd want Munster, why we'd want Pappenhausen, why we'd want Grant, why we'd want Hughes. And it'll all fall into the same thing, is their greatness as players. But Melbourne seem to be able to put the greatness of players in a team together. Like every other team we talk about, there's 1 or 2 superstars. These guys have got 4, and it's been happening all the time. So if we want to build a club around someone, let's get Craig Bellamy.
No, I was just about to say this.
Let's get the architect of the reason why, and you go straight to the top of the tree. It's Craig Bellamy, and then that trickles down into all there.
It's Bellamy. I was just waiting for after you were speaking, I was going to jump in, so I'm glad you said that. It's Bellamy. Mate, the guy's a freak. So I only ran into Rodney Howe the other day, the great Rodney Howe. He lives in France. So I was having a chat with him the other day, and I asked him about Bellamy. I said, what's so good about this guy? He just said, just consistency on 1%ers. And I said, he must be so emotionally intelligent, though. Like, he has to have something. And everyone just says the same thing. He's just so hard and fair. But, like, to have that many transitions of players, and then you see it at other clubs, but other clubs can't match what they do. Like, to lose all the players that they have. We spoke about it without going into too much detail. To then have to bring new guys in. Yeah, I know they've fallen on their feet or develop's probably the better way to put it. These great players to come in and fill those spots. But, mate, it's the players around him. Josh King's the best he's ever played. Stefano, all these guys at other clubs, I don't think would have reached the heights that they do under Bellamy. And it's got to be more than just he drives standards. He's a genius, and he's an underrated genius. He's just he's a freak, man. What a coach.
And people want to go there when they want to go in there and invest in the system. Let's talk about Stefano Comano. Last year, he got the wooden spoon. Now he's lacing these boots up for a grand final this week. Like, it shows why they want to go there, and then obviously it shows why Craig goes after players that he wants. They go there and deliver for him, but they've got a DNA of players they go after. They don't just go after everyone. They don't have the luxury to go after everyone because their money's tied up in other positions, so they need to go that's going to fill the spots and fill the needs of what it is to be a Melbourne player. And you listen to everyone that speaks about players that go there, the ones that have been there and had success, the ones that have been there and haven't had success, which is very rare, but they all talk about the same thing. It's on the back of Craig Bellamy. So And you don't see
Who you reckon's gone there
what
and hasn't
players are
succeeded?
like until they leave. There's not many.
Well, even Nico was a gun when he was there. Like, these. If anything, when players leave, they, not the saying Nico's a bad player, but they go on a decline. You go to Storm, you go uphill. Like it's
because they're at the Storm and they get picked up by a club and they want the same success from that player to go transfer it into their club they go to. But we just spoke about it. The same transfer doesn't happen from the top down. So this player goes all of a sudden and has to create all these things, and they'd be asking, what happens at Melbourne? Why was it different? Well, it starts at the top. And that's the same as any club. We talk about it. You look at Parramatta's success this year on the back of Jason Rolls, I believe. Obviously, yes, all on the power of Mitchell Moses and the way he played footy. But he said it from the start, give me time to install systems and give me time to put a plan in place. And he's got a plan in place. He has never been flustered this year, where other coaches would be disappointed. They're not going well. But every time Rolls spoke after in the press conference, he goes, we're building. You look at Fitzy, the Sharks, they're building. Yes, they didn't get what they wanted, and not everyone gets what they want first week or whatever, but it takes time to build. And clubs have obviously, there's always been success at Melbourne, so it's easy to keep the guy on the reins. And yes, he's a superstar coach, but for the clubs that are going to sign these coaches, it doesn't happen overnight. Like, for instance, the Gold Coast Titans, they go sign Heno for 3 years. You've got to give him those 3 years and then offer him 3 more. To give, if that's why you want him to go to that club. And I'm just talking about because they're near here, their club here on the Gold Coast, so I know what they're talking about. There's the transition of coaches coming and going. Well, you signed him as a coach to come. Let him put his DNA into the club over time, not just 2-3 years like they've done and get rid of coaches. So the clubs, it's about getting the coach that's going to have the same success as what they have at other clubs.
Yeah, well, he's done a good job, hasn't he? 11 grand finals. What's he missed? How many final series? He's missed like 4 final series since he started coaching. Unbelievable.
Well, Cameron Munster's played 29 finals games.
He wouldn't have lost many either. What's his percent? No. What's his percentage? It'd have to be 70s.
Oh, who knows? Who knows?
Win percentage.
We'll have a talk about that later in the week when we're gonna rip the shreds and tear apart the grand final week, and that is the grand final game. Storm versus the Broncos, 2nd versus 4th. So don't try and break the odds of what history says. Top 4 teams make grand finals. That's a wrap for the finals week 3 review. And then later in the week, Footy Nerds be our last show before we rip and tear into what we think of teams and why they went wrong and why they went well this year. But we've got one show to go when we're talking knowledge of footy, grand final week.
Yes. See you soon, brother. Good to have you back, Gabe.